Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final presentation for Ethics and Standards of Organizational Practice, LP705. My case study I titled Of Two Minds. The presentation will follow the format of me talking through the case background and then introducing what I've identified as the problem, what was my proposed solution, and then what was the result. You can also follow along at the top. We're going to have a little bar going on across the introduction, the case, problem, solution, and result. I had started working at Unity Health in the Navigation Center as a care coordinator. The department was growing rapidly, and several months after I joined, our original team of 12 with one manager had grown to a team of 30 with the same manager, we'll call her Glenda, and a new supervisor, we'll call him Aaron. The COO of Unity Health was interviewing candidates to fill the director position for the Navigation Center. About 7 months after I came on, our manager Glenda announced that they were creating 2 new supervisor positions for the department. Several of us from the original team were encouraged to apply, and at the end of the whole process, Reba and I, both from the original 12, were selected for the positions. Months later, in a management team meeting, the new director, we'll call him Alex, informed us that the Navigation Center was going to take calls for our urgent care patients. This change would require us to have a care coordinator that was also a registered nurse. And since we did not have that, an RN would need to be hired, joining us as a care coordinator. Due to our budget, this meant that a current care coordinator would have to be let go. Glenda turned to Aaron, Reba, and I and said,
"While Alex and I have final say, we have decided that Erica and Reba will each give me a name by the end of the week. You two have been on the floor with them and have now been their supervisors for several months, so we trust that your decision will serve both the department and the organization best."
Reba and I, responsible for managing workflow, took on weekly and monthly performance reviews, which had not existed because before our position, the reviews were done by the manager only once a quarter. Previously, what they reviewed were attendance and numbers, and all that was reported to the senior leadership were the amount of calls, encounters the system logged that came in, and the amount that were taken or resolved per care coordinator, all to reflect how many patients we each helped within an hour, a day, a week, a month, and how many patients did not get helped. Then these numbers contributed to the reports that determined not only our department's funding, but for areas of the organization as well. To reflect aspects of performance other than numbers, we created metrics for quality of care and added a section for us to record kudos or complaints from patients or team members. We had been using the new performance review for about a month and a half and were to present the report with the new metrics in about 2 months. Earlier that week, Reba and I identified 2 employees that had areas of concern on our more extensive performance reviews that we had used for the past month, Alina and Sierra. Both had been part of our original team of 12. Alina had flawless attendance, was never late for work, nor missed a day. She had few technical errors here and there, but she had the highest numbers of calls and encounters and had been recognized by senior leadership for her encounter and resolution rates. She received kudos from coworkers for being reliable and consistent. What we had thought was Alina being quick and firm was seeming more rushed and almost rude, though, when we listened in to a few of her calls. In contrast, Sierra spent a lot of time with each patient. In listening to her calls, she was thorough and thoughtful. She listened patiently and made sure that the patient's needs were met, and furthermore, that when they hung up, they had a better understanding of their care. She received daily kudos about her kindness from patients. However, Sierra had far from perfect attendance. She called in sick quite frequently and often was late for work in general, as well as coming back late from lunch or a break. Because of the time she spent with each patient and her tardiness, her numbers were very low. Several coworkers had complained that her time management was causing them to pick up patients in her absence or that ones that she did not get. What was my problem here? Do I tell Glenda that my recommendation is to fire Alina or Sierra? At first, when considering my 2 options, the problem is which employee contributed to the department and organization in serving the mission more? Is it right to support reliability and responsibility? Or is it also right to honor thoroughness and kindness? When I weighed my options, I realized My problem was what to do. Is it right to respect the boss and complete the assigned task and do as I told and make a decision that I'm not entirely comfortable making? Or is it right to stand up for what I believe in and act authentically and not give a name at all, but perhaps a different solution, and then also maybe risk my own job? What exactly do I want to achieve? I want my department to have high morale and work efficiently and ethically to deliver high quality of care. How do I see the situation? A bit of the problem falls into justice versus mercy paradigm as it pertains to the individuals. In Sierra's case, I want to be fair to other employees who show up and don't loaf but have sympathy for her because of the quality of work she does to give each patient and truly helping them. In Alina's case, I want to be fair to the patients who need help and to the employees who are thorough in their calls, but have sympathy for her because she is doing what she's been trained to do and is operating the way in which she operates. But what about the short-term, long-term effect of firing someone when we just started developing new performance reviews? If we do follow through with giving a name, then that could hurt morale. That could affect how our department operates. Is that fair? Have we been measuring them sufficiently and long enough to even make this decision? The solution I ended up proposing was to fire no one. The recent additions to performance reviews has indicated a gap between the organization's mission and values and how the employees are being trained and then measured. I suggested that we implement a new care training program that emphasized the balance of efficiency and quality of care. This will not only help the team function better, being able to serve more patients, this will then allow our patients to have better help and therefore need to call back less or ask less questions. Then, once this implementation has happened, we could reassess performance after the training initiative, and performance reviews have been in place for a set amount of time to really determine. The implementation process started with rational persuasion from my senior management team, and then taking that data and moving that towards senior leadership, offering explanations, factual evidence, and logical arguments to demonstrate that a proposal or my request for this training would actually attain task and organizational objectives. Encouraging everyone to perform at their best, I went ahead and started writing a weekly newsletter in which I highlighted the CC of the week, and then we also moved forward with highlighting Employee of the Month. Introducing rewards and recognition was part of the efforts in order to create a positive and warm emotional climate. We then were able to use the performance reviews that Reba and I created across the board and begin to track, actually over the next couple months, what the results were looking like. The result of this is kind of backtracking through the implementation, but I do want to start with the result was that the management team took my proposal and we followed the steps of implementation. I did end up running the training, which went over well, and we ended up taking on another panel of patients. The weekly newsletter I wrote highlighted the positive behaviors or collaboration. We began to see that the encounter times began to improve and that we as a department were taking on more patients. The quality of care and morale began to improve as well, and our department continued without any layoffs due to budget. I know you're all wondering what happened next. So the department continued using training and performance reviews So the department continued using training and performance reviews even after I left. I ended up leaving the department and the organization to go back to graduate school, the MAOP program at William James, and I've been in touch with a lot of my coworkers that I'm still in close relations with, and I've heard that they have discontinued the use of the newsletter, but they have continued that use of the training. So what about Sierra, you ask? And Alina? Well, Sierra, I heard, actually got fired shortly after I left due to her lack of attendance. And Alina, she ended up resigning due to follow her husband's job relocation. When reflecting back, I wonder what I could have done differently. I do think that I could ask for help. I did feel really burned out towards the end and felt that I was wearing a few too many hats in my role. I could have asked for help from my team members or even expressed some need for help from senior leadership. This could have been part of when I was selecting members carefully to match them to tasks. And that concludes my presentation. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to communicating over the critiques. Image credit to Toolbox for MS Office, Google Images, Marguerite Turner.